Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Need Some Introduction. In today's episode, we'll be breaking down the 8th episode of Cape Fear. 8. We're 8 episodes into this season of show. Incredible that it's taken this long to get to this point in the story.
Wait a minute. What happened to 7? Did you do it without me?
I did 7 without you, Sona.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
You know, we could do 7 and 8. I did a very brief recap of 7.
My problem is that I watched them in one sitting, so I'm not going to be sure which things happened in 7 and which things happened in 8, but I'll do my best.
You know what? We can run through, I'll guide the way, but we can run through both of them because I did a very brief, before we did our Gone Girl conversation, just a brief 10 or 15.
Oh, right. Now I remember.
So we could definitely get into it. If there's anything you want to talk about in episode 7, we will definitely circle back on that one as well. But primarily, the episode I saw most recently is the 8th episode, the most recent, which is Los Tiempos de Dios son perfectos, which means God's timing is perfect, which, of course, is a biblical reference, which is said by Max Cady in this particular episode of the show. And on the podcast, just a little bit of news. Oh, by the way, Sona joining me for the conversation. She's already jumped in there to the conversation. But yes, Sona, how are you doing, Sona? How are you feeling about the World Cup?
I didn't wait for my cue. Sorry. I am excited to watch the final game on Sunday. I'm excited for my neighborhood to get back to normal after the World Cup is over. But it's been a fun ride, and I think it's been really nice to have this collective thing that the whole country is participating in and interested in. That's like, yes, but our country is so divided lately that like it seems nice to have something that is uniting us that we're all excited about. And so that's been fun. I wish that there had been a little less drama around the US team, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, a little drama, and I mean, it's an interesting. The narrative around these things are always very interesting to me. And I've been like listening to soccer podcasts, and you hear, all the complaining from the UK fans as well for the way that, and when you think about it, like I only really pay attention to soccer in these finite pockets of time. So I mean, there's so much that, of course, is packed into your fandom, and then to have everything just key in on one single game, an elimination match is you just think about the amount of stress that entails. But your son must be very happy to have
very
Spain
excited
in the finals, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And Argentina, I guess, is I guess people are cheering for Messi's last round, so of course that is.
Seems like it. And my son is a big Messi fan as well, but I think his fondness for Spain overwhelms the Messi fandom.
Yes. And yes, we cannot wait for that last match on Sunday, which will probably be incredibly chaotic around here, just for a very short period of time. It has not been so crazy. So, but the travelers have not yet arrived, and they're anticipating like over 1 million people the next day or two. So it's going to be pretty crazy, but we will. And I mean, New York, a lot of the overflow is going to go over to your side too. So, although you guys are used to having events that pack the city. So.
Yeah, the thing is, just specifically where I live, which is near 42nd Street, they've decided that 42nd Street will be closed except for World Cup shuttles on game days. I think it's 3 hours before the game and 3 hours after the game or something like that. And it just becomes like a little bit strange in this neighborhood because nobody can really get here as far as if you wanted to get a pizza or something like that. It becomes like strangely complicated, but it's okay. Small price to pay.
Yeah. It's a very rare occurrence. So
yeah,
appreciate what we have. All right. So before we get into this current episode, was there anything you wanted to circle back to on the last week's episode? The one thing I'll say, which is the thing that's top of mind, which I mentioned in my recap there, is I was really actually mad that they killed off Ray for a couple of reasons. First of all, I like this actor, loved him ever since I saw him in The Wire. And I always feel like he's kind of underused whenever he pops up, and he's pretty regularly shows up on TV shows. And but something about the way they used him all the way back in episode 1, where he's like at the barbecue, he doesn't even get a close up. I just had this like gut feeling, like, are they just going to have this guy sidelined, like barely in the show, and then kill him off? Because there is, there are, just given the different adaptations of Cape Fear, you can easily dispose of some of these type of characters. So I was worried about that. And then they actually made him, although relatively small part, they made him like one of the very few like rational people on this entire show. So like when he was talking, I was like, that guy makes sense. And then when they killed him off, I'm like, oh, they so underused this character just to kill him off. I was really
as soon as they saw each other on that boat, you knew, or on outside the boat, wherever it happened, you knew that his minutes were numbered.
Yes, and I was just really annoyed that that's how they used this character after introducing him. But that's the one thing that was my key takeaway.
I agree. He was a very likable character for what little we saw of him. And I also am sad to see him go.
Again, and just a show that desperately needs rational, like some, and I guess maybe so that the show could be completely off the rails at the end, which is possibly where we're headed, that he just couldn't, the show just had no room for him, for rational people. We don't get to have rational characters on this show. Anything else that stood out for you last week?
Well, as I mentioned, I have a hard time drawing the line between what happened the prior week and what happened on this week's episode. But I will say, overall, I had a little break from the show, right? I hadn't watched it in a little while, whereas I had been watching it regularly. I don't know if it was the break or my mood or what, but I think I've come around on this show. I think I've accepted it for what it is, which is that it doesn't quite know what it is.
Yes.
But it's going to keep me interested regardless. And I actually really enjoyed these 2 episodes, like without overthinking it, on their face. I thought it was a fun ride. I became surprisingly fond of Natalie. I don't
She's
know.
very hard to like at this point, but go ahead.
I enjoyed it, and I surprised myself by enjoying it.
Yeah, you know what? Let's just have a free range conversation on this. I don't think we need to like step through the plot at this point anyway. And anybody out there, of course, we're not going to do that more traditional recap that we normally do. Let's just talk about the episode because I got so many things to say. What I would say is I liked where this episode ended. I liked that that's where we've been heading this whole entire time. And I've been questioning it here on the podcast. Like, what is Amy Adams doing in this show? And I feel like this is the moment where she gets to like take the leash off that she's this caged version of herself that she's been. And I think that's going to allow her to be like, literally, this is going to be head to head, her and Max. And I like that that's where the way this show has come to that point. And they literally have like cleared the table. Everyone's going to have their side dramas for sure, but they have kind of narrowed it down that she's the one who's got to fix this thing with Max, Katie. It's the original sin that they have to fix. And I like that idea that we are just going to be a streamlined revenge flick with both aggrieved parties head to head. And I think that's going to be the remainder of the last 2 episodes of this season. And hopefully that only one season. Please do not bring this back for another season. And of course, she's going to meet with Crystal, and Crystal's going to play into this very importantly. I think it's going to be a big part of it. On the negative side, I'm a little annoyed that it's taken so long, that so many of these mysteries, like what really happened between Anna and her dad, and what really happened back with Max and Crystal when they were younger, all that stuff is going to be left for the very end of the show, which really makes me feel, my big complaint about all this is that there's so much of this middle that seems so elongated and almost unnecessary. But I liked that. And also this had both the best scene the show's had on a serious front, and then back to back with one of the most hysterically, I think unintentionally, hysterically funny scenes this show has ever had as well. So that was its own pleasure.
Okay, I'm trying to guess which scene is which. I'm thinking the best scene is the one with Anna and Natalie talking as Anna
Yes.
is drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, when she finally starts drinking, and her daughter's the one who's coaching her, and because she's the one who's been the active drinker recently, and then laying all their cards on the table. Two really good performances, good dialogue, really well written. Like, where's that version of the show? I'd love to see more of that version of the show. And then the hysterically funny scene was maybe not exactly next to it, but in sequence to it, where she decides to get the gun, Natalie does,
Okay.
and then goes to see her dad, would be dad, and been like, no, shoot me here. No, don't shoot me. No, wait a second. Shoot me right here. Yeah, right there. And then she shoots him exactly. But that's not the part that cracked me up. The part that cracked me up was when Anna comes running out and she's just like, baby girl, what did you do? And she's like, I missed.
Yes.
I missed. And her blubbering performance of I missed, I laughed so hard. I missed. And I also, but in my head, I was like, where did we go from that scene to this scene? Like, we had a really good scene. I like in my mind canon as I'm writing the script for our conversation. I'm like, wow, a really good scene. I'm like, how did this happen just 5 minutes later? And not even, maybe 3 minutes.
I think it was in episode 7 that I had just a quick LOL moment. And I think it was meant to be one where Anna and her husband are trying to convince her dad to do the break-in and explaining the plot of calling it a tip. Yes. And he says, McGruff the Crime Dog. And I literally laughed out loud at that reference.
Man, what a bad dad here. I mean, we don't know their full history. We don't know if Anna's to blame for some of this toxic relationship. But of course, I actually thought the dad wouldn't just like turn on them. I thought the dad would play into this in the fact that he'd go in there and then there, this whole show has been about surveillance. So I thought we literally have the whole big reveal here is the photos that Crystal's been taking. And then, of course, the iCloud with the photos that Crystal's been taking as, this whole unraveling of the story. So surveillance is all over this. And the kiss, of course, the kiss is another breaking point.
Of course. Here. We knew that was going to come back somehow.
Exactly. So surveillance has been so key to everything we've seen here. So I'm like, oh, he had a camera in the house and he caught the dad breaking in and, whatever. But no, it just turns out that he's just like a real piece of crap. And
also, it is pretty awful what they asked him to do.
Right.
As well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, again, we don't know what happened in her prior history with her dad that has made the relationship what it is. But I did feel for him in that moment when he's saying, I was so hopeful that we were going to begin repairing things. But no, you just want me to break in and plant drugs in your neighbor's house.
And I absolutely was sympathetic to him in that moment. I think that was, again, one of the better written scenes of the show. But then for him to then betray them so fully when, he knows how pretty bad this guy is.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you need any further evidence that how bad this guy is, if you need to know when the delineation between the 2 episodes were, as you watched it all, when Ray's head is floating in the pool.
Oh.
When did he have time to take this guy apart?
I was wondering that as well.
Speaking of surveillance, why isn't there footage of this guy dragging a
trunk?
A trunk. It's a cooler, right? A cooler full of body parts into the backyard.
Yeah, I had assumed when the murder happened that he had just thrown the body into the water.
In the trunk. Oh, I thought I threw him. No, he's slamming the trunk in that shot.
Yeah,
I think he threw
true.
him into the trunk. Is what my assumption was. He could have just thrown him in the water, though. I mean, you're right. That I guess he wouldn't be able to plant the body. Although that is hilarious too. The idea that, don't you get it, Nat? Your parents dismembered him and put him in the pool. Is that what I would do if I thought? I don't think that's the way I would stage that scene. I gotta say. So that is so crazy. I had a lot of logistical questions about that too. It's like, how does a coolers float, right? There's air in there. The
I thought it was just a regular trunk, not like a.
No, I think it's a cooler. I think it might have been a cooler from maybe this cooler from the car. He's like, hey, it's already here. That would be a dead giveaway. If they could track down where that cooler came from, that could be a dead
just the weight of it, I guess.
It must be weighed down with something, I assume. And not just Ray's body parts.
Put some ice packs in there, maybe?
Perhaps. So where does everybody end up on this episode? It's so funny for you to say, and I do understand why you said that about Nat. You starting to win you over. She does, at least at one moment when he's on the phone being like, they'll do anything to set me up, Nat. Don't you see what they're doing? And she's like, you think they killed Raid? I don't think so. So for a moment, I'm like on that side. I'm like, okay, good. But the fact that she doesn't tell them about the gun, and I kind of understand, but I gotta say
I love
that
too is, again, maybe I'm running the episodes together, but the constant surprise of Anna and her husband that Natalie's at home. Like there's 3 different times that she shows up at home and they're like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be with your dad.
supposed to be with your dad. Meanwhile, she's like, she left the States. They don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
These people really, I mean, they're doing a terrible job of watching their kids. Okay, I got some math here for you. So, we bought this house 16 years ago, right? Is that what they said?
Yes, when the movers went to the wrong town.
8 months pregnant. No, 7 months pregnant. You know, he says 8 months, she says 7 months. So I guess there's something there with that math that might be important later on.
Right.
But so we're supposed to believe that Natalie is 15 years old?
She has her permit, right? So how old do you have to be to drive in Georgia?
I don't know.
It
might be. I assume it's got to be 15 because that's the only way the math makes sense, right?
In Georgia, you can get a learner's permit at 15. Okay. Upgrade to a provisional driver's license at 16.
So now I definitely thought she was older than 15. But
I thought she was 16, but that's not that far off.
But if we buy that, now Zach is younger, right?
Yes.
Are we supposed to believe that Zach's like 13 years old? Like, I don't buy that for a second.
Maybe 14 with an early growth spurt.
And he's getting nudes from his 13-year-old girlfriend? I don't know. Maybe these.
Am I remembering wrong? I thought they made a point of saying she had her permit. Maybe she has her license.
Well, I think it is probably her permit, just given the math, right? Because if they bought the house when she was still pregnant, then she could only be, well, I guess she'd be close to 16. How old is this kid anyway?
Yeah, you're right. That's where it starts to seem a little bit weird.
So he's 23 years old, playing a 13-year-old. That's quite a stretch. And he is the younger son, right? He is younger. She's the first, right?
Yeah, I remember thinking about this when it first started, and yeah, because
they just met 16 years ago, right? So if they've just met 16 years ago, then that doesn't make any sense.
Wait, I thought they met in law school, though.
Oh, true. Yeah, true.
Does that make it worse or better?
Well, I mean, it still doesn't. Natalie would be their first child, though.
Yeah, because they make a point of saying she was pregnant with Natalie.
Right. Oh, definitely. So that's the only way. It's the only way that would make sense that Natalie could potentially be Max's daughter, right? Anyway, that kid does not look 13, 14 years old. So
bottom line, this kid is too tall.
Yes. And a 23-year-old playing a 13-year-old is a stretch, but even more than that is just the idea that the thing that got him in trouble, the whole idea that he was distributing sexts from his girlfriend. I mean, how old was he? 12, 13 years old? Right. That seems kind of crazy.
Think that's what I was wondering about as we were doing this math. That does seem a little bit. I mean, I know kids today are different, but still.
Yeah, that still seems like a bridge too far, to say the least. Oh, and Lily, of course. Lily. I mean, Lily's the actress's name. I mean, Natalie. Going to see Nevaeh in prison, who, first of all, looks fantastic. This is like the best she's looked in the show. She
looks great. Yeah.
She's not crawling around like a possum. She is, not like with the really bad lighting at the bar or like looking like a wild animal and or in these kind of drugged out, hazy, sweaty images they've had before. She's like washed and she's been getting enough sleep. She doesn't have to crawl inside of people's walls. I think prison is great for Nevaeh.
Yeah, she's thriving.
She really is. She really is thriving. What do you think about the conversation, though? I love the fact that Natalie says, we gotta, what's your dad up to? We gotta work together on this. And Nevaeh, first of all, telling her absolutely correctly, if I'm your backup plan, like you're in deep trouble, which is absolutely correct. That she says mean things to Natalie, and Natalie's still offended. Like, I thought you really liked me. I'm like, Nat, come on. read the room at this point, please. But nothing is better than, speaking of, I think, intentionally funny dialogue, nothing is better than her being like, did you know we were half sisters when we hooked up? And
Yeah.
she's like, what's the matter? Did I get you pregnant? I'm like, yikes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So yeah, so Nevaeh is doing great. And apparently, I would guess is, they're in the same, what would you call this? Juvenile
So,
center.
Yeah, juvenile detention center. Yeah.
Not great situation there for sure. And there's definitely going to be confrontation
especially
between
considering
them.
the last thing Nevaeh said to Natalie was, I'm going to effing kill you.
Yeah. And now she got a chance to.
Yeah.
And based on the description for next week, it looks like there's some reference tangentially that like Max gives Nevaeh an assignment. And but could that mean that she wants to kill? I mean, why would he want to kill Natalie? That's the one thing that I thought kind of would make sense, that this is the way he could like make his family again, was to win over Natalie. So I'm not sure.
But then he said to Anna that he wanted her to suffer the way he suffered.
True.
So maybe he feels like one of her kids has to die. I don't know.
I know we're jumping all over the place, but now that you brought it up, I do want to mention that was actually a good conversation too, where she's just like, I'll take the fall. I'll go to jail. Do what you need to do. Let them all free. You can stay out. Just let me take the blame. And he's like, that's not the point. The point is for you to be suffering the way you are suffering right now. So that was actually a very good scene. Although, a lot of the scenes with Max this week and in general have been rough for me recently. The whole like, shoot me here, and that she can actually shoot it, and that's not on him, that she can miraculously shoot him exactly in the spot that, first of all, he knows the spot where he can go, and it's going to be through and through, no damage to his, he could go back to decorating his restaurant the next day. That's pretty funny. And then of course that this, completely stressed out, nervous teenager pulls the trigger and somehow doesn't like accidentally move the gun and shoot him in the heart or something. Although she should have just, that's exactly what she should have done. If she was really committed to this, when he's like, no, shoot me right here. She should move the gun like, oh, how about up here? Isn't this where your liver is? I think this is a good place to shoot. But I mean, you're going to go to jail for shooting this guy. You might as well make it count.
Well, there's a difference when you've murdered someone, it's a little more serious.
True. That's a good point. But I mean, if the person actually dies, I guess, right? It's attempted versus.
Yeah.
She's a kid, though. How would that work? Now, let's bring in a little legal conversation here. How does that work if you are a teen? You can, I guess you could charge as an adult.
You could be charged as an adult, or you could be, I think, as usual, disclaimer, this is not my area. I think you could be placed in a juvenile detention center until you're 18 and then moved to a regular detention center.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of the kids, let's stay on the kids here for a minute. So Zach is in therapy. That's a good thing.
He's overdosed on motion sickness drugs.
Yes. He has, but if he thinks this interaction with his analyst is going to get him out of there, or psychiatrist, I guess he would be, in any like short amount of time, this is not the best way to go about it. Understandably, he's been severely psychologically messed up by whatever has happened to him, but he now is hallucinating this the AI version of Angel, this figment of his imagination, which is based on that this is what I would look like if I had survived video that he saw all the way at the beginning, like episode 1 or 2. So he is still seeing this thing. He still believes he's maybe possessed by this other person, perhaps. He's confused as to who he is. At one point, the psychiatrist says to him that, let's get you back to being your normal self. And he's like, but which one is that? Or something to that extent. Not a great performance here. All his scenes, I think, were pretty rough. Not that they're doing him any favors with the material he has to perform, but this is pretty rough. This whole sequence is pretty.
Yes, but I was happy that at least they gave a somewhat plausible explanation for why he was acting the way he was acting.
You mean just because of the drugging?
Yeah.
Yes. On the one hand, I do agree that when they kind of outlined that explicitly last episode, that was a step in the right direction, but it just makes me less sympathetic towards the parents, Anna and Tom, primarily because presumably he was getting drugged by Nevaeh for a long period of time and brainwashed. And, what kind of, this was happening for a extended period of time. And it looks like even the evidence that his friends are like, he doesn't hang out with us anymore. He's just been hanging out with that girl he met. And so this has been happening for a long time, and the kid's in a fragile state. So it just makes me even more irritated about how they were allowing this to happen under their, their roofs this whole entire time.
Totally fair.
It's so crazy. I mean, we just joked about, like, just since we've been seeing the show, that it's like they're not keeping an eye on him. He's sneaking out in the middle of the night. They don't even take a day off after he eats his own toe. Like, none of this stuff. It's all crazy, but especially crazy, or I should say even exacerbated by the fact that if you think about, this was happening even beforehand, right? Because it's not like he's going to be able to be like doped up to this extent and brainwashed. That takes time to occur. So when he's just walking around the house all zonked out, and they're like, that's just Zach being Zach. I'm like, how long was that going on for before they even noticed?
Yeah, that is a recurring theme in the show, I think, is this disengagement of the parents with what is really happening with their children, but also just in their non-professional lives. There's somebody living in the walls. I would
Yes.
like to think I could sense something like that, but maybe I'm wrong.
They're like, oh, it's just a draft from the repair we're doing on the house. It's been ongoing. There's a possum. We've seen a possum in the house before. It must be the possum. They're very nonchalant about this. And of course, we have Tom. So Tom, for the most part, seems to do the right thing. He notices the gun's been discharged. He swaps it out for the other gun. Then they find out he has a permit for the other gun. He says, well, it has like a bad firing pin or something, so I got rid of it a long time ago. And that works for a little bit to keep them off his trail. So for the most part, that makes sense. And then kind of the fact that Natalie doesn't fess up to it right away, you got to think, okay, she's a kid. And that's the other thing, where the performers being the age they are, I can't help but look at them and see them as like college age. And I think like they should know better, right? If it really felt like a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, then I would feel like, oh, of course, it'd be much more difficult, right? Because, I mean, let's go back to the original Cape Fear. I think she was 18 or 19 years old when she made that film, Juliette Lewis, when she made that film. And she's supposed to be playing like a 15, 16-year-old.
Right.
And she's got the retainer in. So, of course, that was a lot of the work, too. But she really felt really young. So those scenes feel really transgressive, And here, for some reason, all of this, and I guess they're probably aging up the actors so that it doesn't make you as uncomfortable. But then the material doesn't really work if you're not feeling that discomfort. I mean, imagine you are seeing not that I agree with this because it's abusive, but I'm just talking about the effect that it would have. Imagine seeing this kid and he looks like a 13-year-old, right? Like that would be, deeply disturbing, right? In a way that we wouldn't be just like laughing about his performance or something if it felt that, real. I wouldn't anyway. But Tom ends up in jail doing lots of push-ups. This is like right from this. Interesting at the way we land on this final episode where Tom is acting out some of the scenes that we see in the movie version with Max in prison, right? So it's kind of like everybody's behind. Yeah. Everybody's jailed at the end of the film in a way, which of course is what Max wanted. He wanted this role reversal. Mm-hmm. What did you make of that scene where he confronts Anna? And it's the photograph, of course, is the thing that triggers all of this. But the photograph is the thing that makes him start questioning Anna, and he turns on her. Did you buy that? I actually thought it was clever, and it touches on probably some thing that maybe he never admitted to himself, but was there the whole time, so that for him to snap in that moment. But what did you think of that scene?
Yeah, I thought it was good, and I could see both sides of it. I ultimately came down on Anna's side actually in saying, well, this is what he wants, is to splinter us like this. You're
Yes.
kind of falling for it.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, her non-answer about what had happened
Right.
with Max was not very helpful. Did you sleep with him? It's not that simple. It kind of should be. So you better start explaining why it's not that simple if that's the case.
Yeah. And then we actually get and I was very frustrated. Like, kind of, I think you're touching on some of that as well. In the moment, I'm like, why can't she just answer his question? But I think, when she does answer the question, it explains a lot, that there's this guilt she has because maybe he did. People have been drugged and knocked out multiple times in this very show against their will, right?
True.
So it may very well be the case that is a pattern that happened even back then. But the shame she has is she doesn't know if she had sex with him. She doesn't know if he drugged her. She doesn't know if she just blacked out because she had gotten blackout drunk in the past and woken up in bed with somebody, right? So if it happened, that's part of the shame, right? If this happened and it was a violation, she wouldn't even know. And she can't, in that moment, tell Tom that that's what's going on in her head, that she's just like, I can't tell you whether it happened or not because I don't know if it happened or not. And then the follow-up questions of being like, so he drugged you? He took advantage of you? And she'd be like, I don't know. I don't remember most of those years. I don't know what happened back then.
Yeah.
And like, of course, she doesn't want to admit that. And of course, that's a pattern too, right? Like she doesn't want to admit that, but then it gets worse when Tom just cuts her off. And in the same way that earlier on, Natalie's doesn't want to fess up. I got in the car with this guy. I know I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? And then, of course, it backfires and they end up, in the situation they're in. And he uses that, of course. He's using all this against this family. Is deeply, this is my critique of the show in general. There's a version of this show, and I've seen films and mostly films like this, where it's a relatively mundane thing that keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And eventually the person who's being wronged looks like they're the bad guy. And watching that is like the cringiest type of thriller for me. Just this idea of seeing this person who's being put upon and everyone's misunderstanding, or bureaucracy is just railroading them. And for me, it's the thing that makes it's like nails on a chalkboard to see that. And there's a version of this series where all of this he could be subtler about his manipulations to the point where it would kind of have that effect on me. But it's almost, I can't engage with it at that level because it's practically, not practically, I think it is pretty campy at this point, how overt everything is, because
it's kind of over the top even. Yeah,
absolutely. And to the point where it's just like, what is the, I do realize that the plot requires that all of a sudden they all look like the bad guys, but like, what is the Occam's razor explanation for everything that's happened here, where this guy comes out of prison and now he moves across the street from them. And now there's like dead body parts in there, like their story, and his daughter, or supposed daughter, was living in their house and drugging their son. And Max is somehow not the center of all this. Like you have to willfully ignore all of Max's activities to not put him in the middle of this picture, which is crazy.
Yeah, even Anna's boss was like, yeah, okay, I was wrong.
Right, exactly. At least she did. Thank God. You know what? We needed one character. If Noah was like, what are you talking about? He's doing all our commercials for us now, right? Like, if she was also like completely blind to what was actually happening, I would have been like angry at this point. They have at least one person who is seeing things clearly. What do you think is up with these cops that are so willing to be like, Max is a good guy? Like,
bananas, absolutely bananas. Like, you guys are out here every time we turn around. Like, what is the commonality there? How have you not put that together? I don't know. I don't understand.
I also love the fact that they now have like the entire, like all the local media is parked right between their two houses. And it's like, and two things about that. One is they're parked right in between their two streets. And like, where were you guys just a couple of days ago? You would have seen him dragging this 200-pound box across the street. Too bad that, you weren't there then. I would love to see the footage of that. But Natalie just wanders over with a gun and comes in the back door at Max's house, and then nobody caught this on camera. And like no one's like, "Isn't that her coming up?" It's just considering that the entire media is out there with like hundreds of lights. The fact that Natalie could just kind of walk across the street unencumbered was kind of funny, and that he didn't see her coming either.
You can't need it to make sense.
Maybe she had a tunnel she used to use to get back and forth. But you have come around on the show.
I think I have in a unexpected way. I don't know what it is, what this show is.
Right.
But I'm willing to find out. I may never have an answer as to what the show is, honestly, or what it was going for. But I do think there are at least moments where the show is laughing at itself.
Yes.
And I kind of enjoy that. There are also moments where I'm not sure if the show knows it should be laughing at itself. But that's okay. Like, they've put a lot of interesting things into motion. So let's see how they play out.
I'm just relieved that we only have 2 more episodes to go, and that all of this is going to presumably
be over.
Yes. No, we was talking about like the shape of a show where it's like, well, you're still unpacking things like 3-4 episodes in, and then you kind of get to that point where the story starts to narrow down. And this show, we're 2 weeks to go, and it really feels like it's never really gotten to that. We have still secret identities and the betrayal of the dad, and there's Max gets beaten up on purpose by Tom in this episode. He's giving directions to the cameraman, come in close. No. And the cameraman's like, yeah, I'll do whatever you say, buddy. Let me zoom in on your eyeball. And then Max is then just going to work and being like, I like that painting on the wall. And whoever's funding this restaurant is not wary at all about, like, do they just not follow the news at all?
I don't know, but you just reminded me, and I don't know what it was that you said that reminded me of a scene. I think it was in episode 7. What's up with the boy while Natalie's petting the dogs? And
oh yeah,
what was that?
Can I kiss you? Can I kiss you?
Yikes!
Yes, randomly. Yeah, and again, speaking of just like more stuff being introduced, there we are. This now we're 2 episodes from the end. That's 3 episodes away from the end. We're just finding out about the dad, about Max's dad, which of course is going to play out again. Anna will come back, but they said to when they see Natalie, the mom calls her Anna, and he like backhands her. So all of that is, it's not only the fact that we've introduced this character, it's that there's all this like drama even there with the random, I don't know if it's a neighbor or if it's another sibling that wants to kiss Natalie. If it's a sibling, then I mean, it's just incest all over the place in this place.
All over.
That's very common across the entirety of this series of show, apparently. And then, of course, there's a lot happening. And you're introducing this whole dynamic to what end? It's just like, it's so late in the going to be putting.
And we didn't see Juliette Lewis at all in these 2 episodes. We talked about her a lot, but not at all.
Oh, and she's definitely going to, I mean, obviously they mentioned her explicitly that boat house was where she lived, and the photographs, and she's the one who's been stalking them. Even got that picture, of course, that also came from that batch of photos. So she's definitely going to play into the end game, but it just seems like it's so late for them to just be introducing that. It's almost like the show remembered, like, oh yeah, we got to get to Cape Fear. Okay. So last episode, they introduced Cape Fear. And now I presume the next episode is going to be all Crystal and Anna. And then Max is going to snap and be like, no, I'm losing control of this narrative or whatever. He's going to head down to Cape Fear. And then the finale is going to be the full wrap up, right? Between the battle between Anna and Max, or Anna, Crystal and Max. And then I assume like the reunion of the family. That's my guess. And by the way, I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. I want to see, I think that the thriller elements would probably be good. Seeing Anna now fully embracing the version of Anna she was before this kind of stable life that she's built for herself could be an interesting swerve. But so I'm kind of interested in seeing that play out. But man, it just seems like we have gone down 15 side roads to get where we are here. And I mean, obviously, this is not a question you can answer, but why 10 episodes? Like, why couldn't this be 6 episodes or 8 episodes? 10 episodes is a big season of TV. And to make a movie adaptation for 10 episodes is, you really feel the length of this thing.
No disagreement here. I always think things should be shorter. So I continue to feel that way. I don't know. Maybe there's a huge plot development that's going to happen. I hope not. They've got enough going on.
It could be Crystal. Crystal was the one who, that wouldn't make sense either. Like, I mean, imagine Crystal's manipulating everybody and turning them against each other. And that, since she's been spying on everybody, that is a possibility, but that would be so unsatisfying. Like, Max has proven himself to be such a despicable person at this point that any kind of, like we had speculated, maybe the twist would be, and I think this would be a good twist, by the way, that they are a dysfunctional family. They have all these internal pressures. Things start going bad. They blame him for it. And that he then does become this vengeful monster by the end, but because they like made him into that. And that would be a very interesting flipping of the script. But this, they kind of allowed us to kind of speculate that maybe he's not such a bad guy. Well,
until he murdered and dismembered that, I can't remember the character's name, but, the guy in the trunk in the pool.
That was very recent. But even earlier, I mean, I think I assume at this point, first of all, what? First of all, I was about to say, I assume that he killed Nevaeh's mother, but I don't even know.
And
no one has
possibly
found his
that,
body. Where's his body?
Mother, son, remember them? The mother, son, yes. And yeah.
So there's a lot of dead bodies that we don't know.
But this was the first time we literally saw him do it, right? With the guy in the pool.
True. Yeah, he shoots him. Yeah, that's a good point. That's the first time we actually see him, other than in flashback. So
there was the thought that maybe he's making Nevaeh do these things, or who knows. But
I mean, last week when he's like, "You're my son now. You're my son now." Like, at that point, he's obviously literally brainwashing people. He's not going to be the hero of the piece. What did you think about that last week when he goes from being like, "You're my son now," and Zach buying into this somehow, being like, "You're not my dad," but then only to flip it over. And when the dad is dragging him away, he says, "He's just a boy. He's such a boy." That was actually very funny, the way he's playing to the cameras, which again, the cameras are basically there the whole time. I still not sure if just the amount of camera crews that were there at that point to capture that drama that that someone wouldn't have caught him dragging the suitcase or the cooler across the way. And by the way, why is there not like a police cruiser, even minus the media? How is there not a police cruiser stationed in front of that house continuously? I mean,
that was kind of Anna's point somewhat, right? Is that like, I told you guys that stuff was going to start happening and you disregarded it. And now here we are in this mess.
I mean, they're literally at each other's throats every day. You might as well just like leave somebody there to be ready for the next crazy thing that happens, or be prevented from happening. Don't like just drive away and 6 hours later be back there again. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right. People are running around with guns, with dead bodies in trunks. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they 5 minutes after they leave, Natalie jumps in the car with this guy. I'm like, what is going on with these people? At least there'd be a cop there being like, you should not get in the car with that guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
excuse me, miss. Yeah.
I mean, even if he hasn't done the things that they're accused of doing, it's like, you shouldn't get in that car because this is going to be really complicated later when this is in court.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to ask you about. Maybe it's from last week. Oh, Zach. So Zach, not only does he wander off, has really committed. Like the last time we checked in on this, he was talking to Max and had shown him the photograph of the son, but is apparently saying that he is either talking to the son, or I guess at that point believes that he is the son, really.
Right.
And then for him to go over there, and Max is like ready for him, like, "Oh yeah, of course, you're my son. You're my son." Like no questions asked, like as if this is exactly to plan. So maybe he has been communicating with him, and just we haven't seen it. Anna doing a bad job of
didn't
snooping
they
on the
make
phone.
that reference to going fishing together? Am I remembering right?
I read that as it's actually Tom who talks about going on a fishing trip again. So I wonder if he is confusing, like he's actually now put
Oh,
Max in there.
interesting.
Like that's what I thought. He had kind of incepted Max into that memory, because I don't think they've actually been fishing. I mean, I could be wrong about that actually, but I don't think so. I think the way I read that was Tom's the one that goes fishing with him, and it mentions that we should do that again. So I think like
Interesting. I had
has he like
forgotten
somehow
that. Okay.
taken Max and put him into his memories of
Mm.
Tom? But anyway, not only is he willing to just wander over to Max's house, but he goes and stabs Tom in the back with these shears when during that fight sequence. So it's like, damn, this kid has really fallen, hard in this regard.
Yes.
But I still blame the parents. Like, where were they this whole entire time?
Yeah. And we had talked about that, right? Like he seemed clearly in some sort of psychotic state for a little while now. So why are you just kind of saying he's going through some stuff, and letting it be?
And not only that, being like, well, we got a psychiatrist, but I really didn't like him. So we kicked, I fired that one. We didn't find another one yet. I'm like, I don't know, man. This guy, I mean, it's pretty clear this kid's in a pretty bad spot.
Yeah, it's to me a relief that he's on an involuntary psych hold at this point.
It is also very funny. I was just talking about how, has Max been brainwashing him and we haven't seen it? Why isn't Anna, again, just things that get brought up and then just left unexplained? The whole situation where Anna is has the cloned phone, and there's so it's just funny.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
But that's also funny, the fact that he's like texting with this Angel X person, which is of course the Nevaeh character person herself. And it's like, but yes, she's living inside his walls. So it's not even like it's not even like she's like, hey, stop, I'm going to block your phone number. I'll see you tonight when I'm in the closet. She doesn't even need the phone. The phone's the most inconvenient way to communicate.
Yeah. I can hear my neighbor's phone vibrate sometimes. I wonder if like through the walls, they were like, what is that?
Right. I also, I mean, if she was living inside the walls, I also wonder why she's always like teasing him about like them having sex, which of course is very disturbing now if we are supposed to really believe that this kid is like 13 years old again. But also the fact that like, why didn't they hook up? Maybe she did hook up with him because she was in there every night practically.
She made that crazy comment about their brother and sister nipples tasting the same. Oh, I don't know how to say it out loud.
Yes. Yes, that's right. Oh God, this Nevaeh, what a character.
The actress really went for it, though. I give her credit.
I mean, in a show like this, if you don't go for it, you like, what's the point at this point, right? Don't be subtle about it. There's nothing subtle about this whole entire show. What did you think about that photo? Speaking of not subtle, the when poor Ray's head is floating up out of the icebox or whatever it is, the color, the reversal, which is like kind of a technique.
I had just been thinking, hey, they haven't done that cinematography that I had mentioned to Victor in a little while now. I wonder if they just dropped that idea. And then there it was. Very dramatic moment.
Also, it makes me like Max is, not to get too gross about this, but Max is a chef, so he knows how to, cut. This the Ray's dismemberment was very like it looks like he went at it with an axe, not with a knife.
Maybe he was in a hurry.
Maybe it happened right there, waterside. There was
She's gonna wake up any second. I gotta hurry.
Grabs an axe, chops him up, throws him into the icebox in the trunk. It gets no blood on him, though. She doesn't know. I don't know. I don't know the logistics of the dismemberment of Ray. And by the way, just the same way that the cloned phone is dropped, and just the way that there are like multiple bodies out there rotting that no one has found yet. I have a feeling that we'll never find out exactly how he was able to hack up Ray's body without the media in front of his house, noticing, and then wheeling it across the street and putting it into the pool. I don't think we're going to get any of those missing moments. Unfortunate. They would be fun to watch. It would be fun if like they're like, oh, wait, that guy who set up our cameras, he did say it's the best idea is to have a second camera, because they actually show that, right? Like whoever put the box in the pool knew they had a second camera and snipped both of them, right? We saw somebody with like a really creepy looking mask actually snipping the wires. So there's another perfect example of where the cops are like, you killed Ray, obviously you hired somebody to and we cannot distinguish who it is, not from the way they walk or anything else, to say maybe he's like the wrong height, because there's a big height, there is a height disparity between Patrick Wilson and the Javier Bardem. So maybe we could identify who this person is from or just assume that whoever slipped the wires was possibly the person who also deposited the body in the pool. But they're not. These cops are just like, I don't know. I think you did it. I don't really have any proof. I mean, this old guy came in and asked for some money and said so. You're arrested. Sorry, you're arrested.
What did you think about the fact that Tom, maybe this is not unusual. Maybe this is just my liberal bleeding heart self, but like not just one gun in the home, but a variety of guns in the home.
Yeah, this guy's got plenty of guns.
Maybe that's more typical than I think, but it seemed like, wow, why do you have so many guns?
I mean, I guess it's, first of all, there are people, given the number of guns in the country, there's more guns than people, but it's not because everybody owns a gun. It's because people own guns, oftentimes own more than one. He does have a lot of guns, like you mentioned.
And I think some people collect them,
right.
Like, oh, this is an antique and this one was my grandfather's and whatever. But these seemed like different to me, a different situation.
Well, first of all, he has military training. Second of all, it is the South. And true. Third of all, it is given that they oftentimes have worked with possibly angry people who feel like they gave them bad legal advice or defended them badly, or that he, as a prosecutor, prosecuted somebody and they eventually get released. He probably is, and once again, giving his military background, he probably is like, I'll take care of this myself. If there's some commentary in there, and it could be, I don't think they've really made that point. He just seems to be someone who has a lot of guns. And honestly, I think they have a lot of guns so that they can set this whole situation up right now. I think they reverse engineered it from the plot, to be honest.
Okay.
But there was an opportunity there for something fun or something deeper, I should say, that has not really been revealed, but maybe it will be. Maybe it will. Maybe the show will get really good in the last 2 episodes. Maybe. Maybe they'll land this plane after. So yeah, what are you looking forward to the most in general in the next couple episodes? And where do you think this story might be headed?
Well, I think what you were pointing out is that the plot has been constructed in a way to bring us to this point that it's just going to be Anna and Max and probably Juliette Lewis, right? Showing up at some point in these, centered in these final episodes. So what I'm hoping for is that we get a lot of the explanations we've been waiting for somehow of what really happened with Anna and Max. I hope that there's more behind whatever deal they made that put Max in prison. And it's not just that based on that one night, she decided that they should cut a deal so he goes away to prison because she was uncomfortable. I hope it's more than that. What happened with Anna and her dad? I want these answers. I'm interested in these kind of explanations of why the plot is the way it is. So I'm hoping we get that. And I'm expecting that we're going to get some over the top dramatic scenes like with people chasing each other around with weapons or something like that. There's going to be a storm, right? We know. And so the storm's going to come. I'm expecting a lot of drama in the cinematography with the storm. And I think it could be fun. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I do anticipate exactly that type of imagery, considering like what has come before. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I mean, it would be very funny if they drag out that kind of confrontation for like 2 episodes, like have a cliffhanger in the middle of it all. But yeah, no, I think that this is what you're describing there is kind of what we've been waiting for to get from this story. And yeah, and I think making Juliette Lewis a big part of the ending of the story would also be very entertaining. And again, I mentioned like Amy Adams has really seemed like she's been relatively relegated to the back burner here in this story, which should really center her. So I think that's a very entertaining aspect too, to be able to center her more and make her like really the driver of the everything that happens at the end. Because I think that's really the key thing is that she's the one who her. Whether we want to shame her for her bad habits and her bad lifestyle earlier on, and how she tried to reform herself, but then like the original sin, like, Max even says this, that she put me in jail. You put me in there to hide her sin. So in a way, it's about all of those chickens coming home to roost. And yeah, so I mean, I think I kind of like the way this has landed in episode 8, that we have a very clean race to the end. Everything up until now has really not been a straight line at all. But I am pretty excited about where we're headed. I think, given what's happened so far, I think it's not a bad place for the show to be in.
Are you sorry that you're watching this?
I am a little. I feel a little trapped. I feel a little trapped by the situation where, if nobody was watching the show, we could almost like kind of just sidestep it. But it is a very popular show, and I'm not sure if people are watching it because they really love it, or if they're just watching it to be like, what the hell's going to happen next, or a combination of both, or hate watching it. It's a possibility also. But for me, I'm kind of like, but you know what? There really is nothing else to talk about right now on TV. So I guess we needed to talk about something. And this gave us the opportunity to do that. And it's almost over, Sona. It's almost over.
For good or for bad.
That's right. All right, Sona. Thank you again for the conversation.
Thank you.
And we will touch base next week. And then I think we will know what our next show is going to be by then. And so we have 2 more episodes of this. And then whatever comes next, I'll be ready to announce it next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks again. Have a great weekend.
You too. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.